welcome into another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and when people think of iconic Omaha restaurants, I feel like Block 16 is one of the first ones that pops to the front of their head. And for most of its existence, Jess and Paul Urban, who are the owners, they're the chefs, they have just been running this place, keeping a tight ship, and they're still doing that. They're still very much involved. But in October of 2023, there was a little shift to the org chart, and they named sous chefs of the restaurant for the very first time. I have those two gentlemen here today because I just want to talk to them about how they got here, about food in general, about how awesome Block 16 is. So, Wyatt Kosalka, Luke Staver, guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So, for people who are listening, especially audio-wise, since we have two different voices here, I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves and maybe just say how long you've been working at Block 16.
Okay, cool. So I'll start. Yeah, Wyatt Kosalka. I've been at Block 16 now for going on 2 years. 2 strong years. We'll say that. Yeah, 2 busy years. It's been a great ride, and I brought Luke along with me from the session room, and so we can kind of.
Yep, Luke Staver. I've been there a little under 2 years. I started maybe 3 months after you.
Yep, 4 months.
So
something like that.
Roughly the same time, but yeah, it's been good. It's been a busy, wild ride, but a really fun ride at the same time. So looking forward to more.
I can't wait to hear more about it in this conversation. But first, I just have to ask you guys, because I love you guys both have the Block 16 swag on right now. I've got a Block 16 sweatshirt and a t-shirt, and without fail, I think it's hilarious. Every time I wear it out, especially if I go to a restaurant, somebody will come up to me and be like, "Do you work at Block 16?" And it's like I'm a celebrity almost. And I'm like, no, I'm just some goober wearing their swag. I'm just a fanboy like you are. But you guys actually, you live that life, and I'm sure it's not as glamorous as people might think it is, but just real high level question. What is it like to work at Block 16?
It's intense. It's intense, yeah. Every day is kind of different, obviously, with specials being, daily and things like that. But then, just the flow of the restaurant is just insane. I mean, you know it. You see the line out the door before it opens, and then, it's pretty much that way until we close. So, slow season was kind of not a thing last year at all. So, that was something we kind of joke about on the line.
Was that different from years past?
From what I've heard, yeah.
Okay.
But we didn't really slow down last year. So, things at the Orpheum, things at CHI, they keep us all busy. So, it's good.
I like to call it job security,
absolutely.
But it's great. It's a great team. It's a great environment.
Yeah.
It's a great place to work. It's my favorite job personally that I've ever held. Like Chef Jess, Chef Paul, they're the best bosses I've ever had.
Yeah,
because they really care about their
just about
crew,
everything.
their staff.
The whole thing. The restaurant, the reputation, the kids. Growing individuals there. They really care about people's lives and making this an actual accessible thing instead of it. Everybody wants to be kind of a chef, and but then when it comes into putting in the time and who's putting in the time, that's when it gets a little sticky. But they do a great job of delegating all of those things, and with the reputation that they have and just the partners that they have in the community is just, it really excels that restaurant to be kind of
contagious.
the top tier.
Yeah, like the passion they have is contagious, and it draws the same kind of passion from anybody.
It's not just, it's not just Cisco dropping off, boxes. It's like actual purveyors coming in and knowing our names too. That it really makes a difference, and it brings it full circle, and makes it worth it. So.
Absolutely.
It's something that I really enjoy that aspect of the restaurant, because that's something I've never found really anywhere else.
Yeah. Nor have I. Yeah. Short answer, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Jess and Paul. So what you guys just said, it doesn't really come as a surprise to me. Like, that tracks very much with the character that I know of who they are. But I would love just to hear specific examples. Like, when you say it's not like any restaurant I've ever worked at, what are some of those differentiators where you almost you start working at Block 16 and you see how things are done there, and you're just like, whoa, this is different.
Well, right. To start, I mean, when I first came in, Paul's doing dishes, and it's just
you don't see that too often.
And that just says it all right there. But then, it's just he's in it, and he's just a man that you can kind of count on when it comes to getting a a question answered, and something figured out. Because if we don't know, somebody will know, and like that's the kind of like lax kind of like management style that really has, I would say propelled them to have great culinary cooks that come out of there. You know what I mean? Because everybody's kind of starting, at a base
I would almost
level.
say like non-judgmental versus lax, because they're not going to make you feel like an idiot for asking a question. Like, so if we're there to cook good food, and if you have to ask a question in order to cook good food, that question is going to get answered.
Yeah,
and you're not going to feel silly for asking that.
Yeah.
So
well, and I would say the other connection is the front of house too. They do a great job of like managing the front of house, and Tamara and Maddie out front. I mean, they're just some of the best.
Rock stars.
Been doing it for forever. So
yeah,
it really makes a difference to have that on your crew too. To be able to sell specials and to do things like that, have confidence in what your product is, and it's a full circle. It works out.
Yeah, I would say one thing I noticed initially was just how small the kitchen is, and like the reputation of Block 16 versus seeing the kind of pulling back the curtain of the operation. I was like, how do they do this? It's insane, but it's a testament to Paul and Jess ultimately of how they're able to do with the space that they have or that we have, and it's sweet.
Yeah, I always call it like the dance. You guys ready to go?
Yeah, there's a lot of sidestepping and a lot of
you gotta.
But it's fun. It's part of the fun. You know.
Well, and it brings you closer too. It makes you you have to work real close. Yeah. So it's like the crew that we have there now is just it's so rock solid.
Best.
Yeah, rock solid.
Yeah,
and
couldn't do it without them.
Not at all. Not one service. So, but Paul was just saying that we've been running like 3 or 4 man line, and he said, that never happened before before we got there. So that's something that don't want to pat us on the back too much, but at the same time, but you can see it's really cool to see everybody step up into the next role. About just that,
or to want to step up even,
getting an opportunity and stepping into it, even when it's uneasy and it's it's kind of. It might be frustrating to work a new station or whatever, but after you're done, it's like, okay, now I can do it, and it shows everybody that you get an opportunity and you take it and it works out, and that's kind of what this has been for me, anyways. Kind of rolling the dice.
I agree, 100%.
Coming here, and I'd worked with Paul and Jess a little bit before. I'd done a charity event with them down at the Hot Shops down there a couple of years ago, and and that was something that showed me. It's like, man, these are community people. We're trying to make a statement somehow, being a restaurant, a small restaurant, but, a great restaurant nonetheless. So it's been like when I was in culinary school at Metro, that's all you could ever talk about was Block 16, right? So, had my first date there with my girlfriend.
Really?
Yeah. So, so that's cool. But, and now we're working there. So it's just a cool ride, and happy to be a part of it. Especially
you mentioned that it's really cool to see people in the kitchen want to take a step forward or take that next step forward, work on a different station. I mean, I think that's probably what Jess and Paul would say about you guys. I mean, I think they've put a lot of trust in you for people who haven't been at the restaurant for a super long amount of time. 2 years is a good chunk of time, but it's not, half a decade or anything like that.
For sure.
What is it about you two? I'm going to make you brag on yourselves a little bit here. So maybe you can even say it about the other person to say it about each other. But what is it about you two that you think that they identified and they're like, I think we got something special in Wyatt and Luke here. We can give them a little bit more responsibility.
Yeah, geez. Well,
well, I would say I think we're two different people, which is a great thing. We're kind of a yin and a yang, but yet we're best friends too. So it's like, we get along. We have two different styles, but
same goals.
Yeah, and neither like our styles. Yeah,
standard same.
The styles mesh because we don't step over each other, and like what I mean. Nobody's trying to be outboss anybody else, right? The egos aren't there. So we're just having a good time, and it's contagious, like he says. Once you have a good time and you're doing a great job, it's like people want to be a part of that. And like that's the coolest thing to see.
Yeah, it's kind of like the work hard, play hard kind of mindset of, let's get after it, but we can still have fun while we're getting after it.
Yeah, and it not be clowning around and making 30-minute tickets or anything like that. But we're still having a good time, and yeah, we're still friends after service. It's not all business all the time. Yeah, so we can, and we have a lot of fun back there.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Singing and messing around. And I think that's part of it. Is just having just a chill kind of.
Yeah, because it's easy to get caught up when you're
absolutely
30 tickets deep with a line down the block
right,
still.
or you didn't get an order.
Yeah.
There's so many things that happen.
It's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to get mad, but as soon as that starts to show its face, then quality goes downhill, morale goes downhill. So I think we do a good job of trying to keep it light, but also keep it moving forward.
Right, keeping it serious enough.
Yeah.
Right, to be successful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, long answer, but that's
I love long answers.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we do. I mean, again, we just have fun, and it's a good time, and yeah, it's just we got a job to do, and everybody kind of knows that, and that's another cool part that we don't really have to do too much delegating, right? It's really easy to switch from being somebody's friend to being a boss because they understand it, and we're not asking to do things that we wouldn't do or anything like that, And if they don't know, then they can ask us, and we can direct the traffic on that too.
Yeah.
So
I'll teach you how to fish.
yeah,
And then,
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be perfect, the first time, but again, it's about having the opportunity and kind of getting your feet wet and then wanting to take that a step further. So that's been really cool.
A big part of it too is maintaining a level of mutual respect between everyone in the restaurant, no matter role or title or anything. Just
for sure.
That, in my opinion, is huge in curating a positive work environment, especially in a restaurant, because like Wyatt mentioned earlier, you do get a lot of egos in restaurants, and a lot of the times that's not conducive to longevity of having a successful, well-meshed crew. So,
well, definitely could get in the way. Definitely could get in the way.
Yeah,
and I've seen that a few times, but for the the majority of my career, though, I mean, you can kind of spot that, and then you just kind of. What do you want to be? What kind of example, what do you like in your bosses, and you kind of just take those things and
be the change you want to see.
There you go. And you move with those. Yeah. So, and it's worked out, and I couldn't ask for a better restaurant, honestly, to work at and be a part of.
Yeah.
I mean, just the ideas that Paul and Jess have too about Block 16. Yeah. Compost and, their own greenhouse. And, I'm into the greenhouse thing, and I know Luke's not too much of a green thumb, but
more of a shotgun.
But
but that's the yin and the yang that you guys are talking about. Yeah,
he still does farm work, and then I do the plants. So it's a good dynamic.
Yeah,
and love the kids. The family. They got two bright girls. They're going to be a handful.
So funny.
Yeah,
Dude, they're hilarious.
They're hilarious, yeah.
But they're great, and it's just another reflection of Paul and Jess, and
it is,
how great they are, and
and they're different too, right? And that's also cool to see because Jess is completely different than Paul in a lot of ways, but they're together all the time. You don't ever really see them fight ever. At the restaurant. I mean, I'm sure they do, but that's not something.
we fight.
Yeah.
Not to equate our friendship to their marriage.
It's just good people, man. And Paul's mom's always in there too. It's just a a nice tight knit.
They've been nice enough to invite me to break bread with them at their table at home. So it's just can't say enough good things about them and
selfless
the business they've grew. And trusting us to try to.
I love how I asked you guys to talk yourselves up, and you ended up just talking about Jess and Paul again for 3 minutes.
Well, it's it's kind of we wouldn't be in this position without them.
I get it.
So
they really
tip the hat.
Yeah, and they kind of spotlight our talents, which is a good thing, and that's something that they kind of let us just work, and kind of let us just do our thing, and it's not too hectic, and a few hiccups here and there, but
you're gonna get that.
But I mean, busy, and we still figure it out. So
yeah.
You mentioned how you guys have moved. Used to be more of like a 5 or 6 people on the line. Now it's down to 2 or 3, and it's not because business is going down. And that's important because that kitchen is small. And like you said, you're doing that dance. You don't want to be bumping into each other. So the more room that you have, the more calm that dance can be. What do you guys think was the key to being able to just take a couple bodies off that line and be able to still produce at the same volume efficiently, but do it with maybe a little bit calmer atmosphere and a few less bodies?
100%. That's one of the things that I think Luke and I do extremely well when it comes to just like in this phase of the restaurant, right? Because when I first started, we had kind of an older crew, but then they all kind of ended up fizzling out. And then it was kind of just me and all the younger people. So then it was like, okay, well, we got to get this figured out. And Paul was up on the line all the time. And you could just see the stress of that put on the restaurant, you know, not being able to do the orders, not being right. So, having the ability to take a body off the line was a huge improvement, and I think that also incentivized people that weren't on the line anymore to want to be on the line. So I think it turned a few of the people that were kind of hesitant, like, do I want to do prep, or or would I rather be a part of this? And now they want to be a part of this. So it's taken a little bit of effort. I know I'm getting a little long-winded on this.
Yeah, well, I'd say like the steps to get to the point that we're at now. There's a couple of tweaks here and there as far as maybe this station should pick up this item instead of that station, like little fine-tuning things. But I would say the biggest thing is not being hesitant to help somebody else out and not being, proud enough to accept help. Like that I would say is the biggest thing. And
That's very true.
That we've noticed a change in the crew of, I'm not helping you out because I don't think you can do it.
Exactly.
It's just, this is the best way to do it.
Yep.
So let me help you. And then they're like, okay, yeah. So next time you need help, I got you, kind of thing.
Right.
So,
And then that thing goes all the way. So right now we kind of been doing a 3 with a floater, which is perfect. So if we need help down to plate, right, then we have it there. But then if we're down on fried chicken or something like that, then you send them on down, and then they're working together and they're having to work another station, and it's a pretty good.
Yeah, I would say just fostering that team attitude. Like, it's not a bunch of,
Yeah, single stations.
It's not a golf league. It's a basketball team.
It is. It really is.
A sports analogy.
And you could see the crew come together a little bit more on that, especially like when we're struggling or we're busy. Yeah, people want to hop in and help. And you might get a little smart aleck remark, here and there from somebody.
Yeah, I
that's
think it'd
like,
be weird if you did.
Right? Yeah, right. It's a kitchen, so yeah.
Yeah,
but
it's all good fun.
Yeah, and again, if everybody's throwing hands onto the product, then it's ends up being good. So
everybody knows everything. That's a good thing.
That's right.
So coming into this, I actually reached out to a former coworker of you guys, Nick Jobert.
Oh, of course.
He's been on this show before. He's working at Good Looking right now. I love that dude. Super awesome. And I was like, hey, just what do you know about these guys? You got a chance to work with them. And he actually told me you guys all worked together at the Session Room, which is another restaurant previously. And he said, us 3 went through some real trials at the Session Room during the beginning of COVID and the CWS. And we banded together and really threw down during a really tough time. And those dudes proved themselves back then. Give me some more depth on what he's talking about there. What trials did you guys go through, and how do you think that bonded you together and made you closer?
Well, it was kind of on the tail end. I guess, probably you could still say there's a labor shortage, but it was just impossible to find anybody to come to work, and people that would come to work were not maybe the most quality people. So it was a lot of one person doing multiple jobs, like not as smooth as it could have been. And that's just going to be stressful no matter what field you're in. And especially being the Session Room right across from the ballpark during College World Series, like it gets insane. So there's times where it was just me, Wyatt, Jobert, cooking for, 1,000 people a night.
Yeah, you got tickets on the floor.
Yeah. So
yeah, you figure it out. You find yourself pretty quick. Yeah, you guys are going to be friends or not? So we did have to band together, and there was a few sticky situations there, but that's just to be expected at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I think we were all pretty young too. I was coming from the Collins where they had shut down or
Yeah, and I had
switched.
I had
yeah.
just moved back from Maryland, and Joe Bear was actually the first person I talked to in the Omaha food scene, if you will, because he was running the session room at the time, and a buddy of mine, his older brother knew Joe Bear and told me that he was looking for people, so I went in there to apply for a job when I first came back to Omaha. And started working there with Joe Bear and was there for like 2 years.
Yeah, he was there for a lot longer than I was.
Yeah.
And then Joe Bear left, and then we kind of took over, and I didn't even know Luke before then. So
Yeah.
got a best friend out of the deal.
Yeah,
I can't hate that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah.
and it's just
Shout out to Joe Bear.
yeah. He's a good dude.
Okay, so when you guys are talking about whether it's at the session room and there are so many tickets that there's tickets on the floor, or you're at Block 16 and you know there's a line of 30 people all waiting for their food, that high stress environment with that pressure is probably going to do one or two things. It's going to just crush everybody and cause the kitchen to collapse, or it's going to be kind of like you guys have talked about, where everybody kind of bands together and it's like, we got to figure out a way to get this. And at the end of the night, it's like, we did that together.
Right.
Like, and you're all closer. What's the difference between those two scenarios, and how do you achieve the second one as opposed to the first?
Well, I would say
Patience.
like pacing.
Well,
Patience and pacing.
Yeah.
And just being able to maintain a cool head, even if you don't have one, like putting on the appearance of having a cool head. Because as soon as somebody starts to crack, that bleeds into everybody else. And Wyatt does a really great job of maintaining a pace and like just keeping communication open. Like I know this kind of sucks right now, but we have to do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it well.
Yep.
So yeah, Wyatt does a great job of maintaining that pace. And
Well, it's just about communication, I think. I think as soon as you stop communicating, everybody just starts like mad working, everybody's heads
shutting
down. Right. Yeah. Everybody's
Yeah.
heads down and nobody's working with each other. Then that's when you start to kind of fall apart. And then you call somebody another ticket that's heavy on their station. Then you can really see it on them like, then they really start to crack. And it's like, okay, so then that's when we send our help. Right. And then that's when everybody, what do you need? That's what we always ask. What do you need? What do you need dropped? Do you need chicken dropped? Because there's multiple things you got to do on each station. So just having
you only
somebody
have 2 hands.
yeah,
so
just having
you need
somebody
more.
like seeing the bird's eye and then communicating off of that is what I see the whole rail start to finish, and like that's right. I'm in control of the flow, right?
Awesome.
And if I get crazy distracted, right, then the tickets get crazy distracted. So, or if I get flustered, then right, the whole line gets a little flustered, but.
Yeah.
There's certain things that we can do. Like front of house talks to us too, and they say, you want us to slow it down, talk a little more to the customers, this, that, the third. I was like, talking about specials, counts, different things. Everything has to be communicated.
Just talking.
Yeah. And I think that's it.
And it's crazy with the handwritten tickets too. That's wild.
That's when you got to get used to. But at the same time, front of house does a real good job of making a standard. Because when we had a few different front of house people, they were writing just different things on the tickets, and it's like, oh, when we're busy, I got to be able to look.
I don't have time to be confused now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would say just communication is really, really what sets that apart, and just staying on top of it. Starting ahead, staying ahead. You see the line out the door, so it's like, and then we get tickets before we even open, and it's got go to the bathroom now. Right, because we're going to be turning and burning. So.
Yeah, and also like being mentally prepared.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming into a shift, like
for sure,
we're gonna get rolled here, but let's try to have fun while we're doing it.
Yeah, and knowing what to expect. Yeah, it's busy. It's going to be busy. So it's like just kind of have that already going, and kind of keeps you moving.
Yeah.
So
you guys seem like, I've only met you for the past 30 minutes or so, but just from talking to you then, you just seem like very level-headed people that don't get too high or too low, and I think that that's a very good trait to have. But when you do get in the weeds and there are tickets just flying up on the counter and they're going up a lot faster than they're coming down, how do you slow yourself down so you don't crack, like you mentioned?
that would be starting to create your pick, right? So know what how long things take to cook on each station and knowing what the rail's looking like for each station. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah, kind of just compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
You know,
so
taking it chunk by chunk. Like, you can only do so much at one time, and
absolutely,
if you're trying to do everything at once,
and then you got to take special into account as well. So if a special is a crazy big burrito or something, you know, that's going to take a whole person to kind of roll. So then if you got a whole bunch of chicken on top of that or pickle witches, then yeah, you're going to need 2 hands down there. And again, it's just staying level. And yeah, when it gets crazy, I mean, it's always crazy, but yeah, we end up doing, I don't know, it depends, 5-6 tickets at a time, right? Where you end up picking it out. But then that's how you stay efficient, right? And stay on top of that 15-20 minute mark constantly while you're still rolling through and still getting tickets in. So the big thing is to call the tickets right when they come in, right? So you can drop your proteins and do those things and be ahead on those. So when I recall it for the actual pick, then everything's coming out together and, you know, on time. And,
hot, fresh, and yummy.
Yep. And if it's not on time, then they're communicating with me, what I'm communicating to the front of house, right? As to what we're, you know, dragging on, if it's chicken or whatever, and then giving them a time so they can talk to the customer. So again, this goes all the way down the line and then all the way back. So it's a good.
The other side of like maintaining level-headedness is the personal aspect, because I think, well, you and I definitely, but the rest of the crew, we've all worked together long enough at this point that we kind of see each other's tendencies of, oh, it's getting close.
Oh, he's
like,
slipping, yeah.
Yeah. So just go over and be like, you know, fist bump, like, hey, you all right? What do you need? You know, just keep your head up. We're almost there. Get through it. Like those little, even if it's just a, you know, you got this.
Yeah, all the time.
Those little
just walking
things,
down the line, right? Getting fries.
little things help a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
But that's something that I think is really cool, and you guys have highlighted in this conversation. I think when most people think of the term chef, cook, you know, whatever it might be in a restaurant, they're thinking specifically about your ability to create food. But so much of what you guys have talked about is relationships. It's communication. It's not only having an awareness of my station and what I need to get done, but hey, is Luke okay?
Right.
He looks like he's having a rough time. Do I need to just go give him a fist bump? How do you learn that part of it? Just knowing, you know, the not cooking side of the job, but the people side of it.
Yeah, just time, really.
Yeah,
time, experience.
Yeah,
like,
anymore, I would just say it's just I don't do very much cooking there. I do a lot of facilitating, but at the same time, it makes so much of a difference to the rest of the success of the team. So it's like, right, I'm not necessarily, and I'll get crap from that, you know. Well, you don't even cook, right? Oh, you just stand there and yell at us, you know. And it's like, well, somebody's got to do it. So yeah. So, but yeah, it's just I think just having the time with the crew that we've had, and again, Block 16 is great about keeping people. It's like you fit or you don't, right? And then it's really easy to see who's going to stick around. And we've had, I mean, how many people there have been there for over a year? I mean, that's a lot.
The majority.
And a lot. So, and again, I think everybody's having a good enough time, right? It's a restaurant, but we're still friendly and cordial.
Yeah, I think it also helps like from past jobs and
for sure.
experiences of knowing what not to do, or like seeing what doesn't work in the past,
or
and trying to do the opposite.
But
of
shouting out Coco too. Her being in the
Jenny
kitchen.
Coco,
her being in the kitchen.
She's
awesome. It's a different feeling. You know, it's just like somebody that knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? And just super cool with us. And we've worked a few events with her. We love Coco.
She's like the opposite of arrogant too. Like,
she's
cool.
For anyone who doesn't know who we're talking about, this is Jenny Coco.
Yeah.
She owned a restaurant in Omaha called J Coco for well over a decade. It was an incredible restaurant. She's been nominated for a Beard Award, and after her restaurant closed, she came and worked at Block 16 for, I think it was about a year, or maybe even over a year. Just what lessons. I mean, that's such a unique opportunity to have someone with that much skill, that much talent, that much experience come and work on the line, or at least in the kitchen with you guys. What did you take away from her? What did you learn from her?
She's just chill. She's just a cool old cat. She gets it. You're right. She's
murder
just
you for calling her old.
No, she's great. But it was very weird having her on the line and having to call her tickets.
Yeah,
right?
it was a little intimidating.
This is weird.
First.
This is kind of intense, but no, she handled it like a champ, and she's just one of the boys on the line. Like it's a fun time.
The working with her, biggest lesson I took away is that it's okay to fill a role, like put your ego, because she easily could have been like, who are you? Why are you talking to me? Like I am J Coco, but she never has ever had that sort of attitude. Yeah. And that's really admirable in my opinion too. It's something I would like to replicate.
She's like a kitchen mom.
Yeah.
Is great. Yeah. It's great. And it's somebody that you want back there that, she gets her job done, she can teach people and be.
She's hilarious.
Just be a great person on top of it.
She's super funny too. Yeah. she's great to work with. I love Jenny.
Yeah. So, and then working events with her too. She has a lot of connections and, she says a lot of good things about us too, so we can't say enough good things about her.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Yeah. She's I wish I could have worked with her in her restaurant. But at the same time, we get our own unique experience here at Block 16.
Yeah, I joke with her all the time. I was like, Jenny, would you have hired me at your restaurant? No. It's like, come on.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Okay, so we've mentioned the specials a couple times, but I want to dive into that more because I think that might be what Block 16 is best known for, because you just know every day at about 10 a.m. there's going to be a social media post that goes out, and whatever that special is from the day, it could be something as simple as a Southwest patty melt to as whacked out as, I was looking at one recently. You guys ran a special with tacos where pork schnitzel was the shell. Yeah. I was just like, this is the most Block 16 thing I've seen.
Yeah.
So I just imagine, even at a restaurant as busy and vibrant as Block 16, if you're cooking the same dishes every day, and you guys know that menu by heart now,
for sure,
there's got to be a monotony that comes with that to some point. Do the specials kind of inject some life into it?
Yeah? Absolutely. I think that was one of the things that I really liked about Block 16 before I got there, was just every single day it's something new, but you still have the old hits.
Yeah.
So it's like you get the mix, you get everybody that is a regular and knows what they like because they've had it all, but then they come back for the specials and then they talk about the people that haven't been there. They tell them what the oldies they should buy. So it's like it's a really cool dynamic to see people coming in for the special or for just the food, right? The regular menu food. So the specials themselves, I think, set Block 16 way apart from a lot of other places, and it's hard and it takes a lot of hands. It takes a lot of heads to come together too.
Yeah, a lot of foreplanning.
Yeah. And then if people are out of town and this and that, right? It takes a lot of planning and a lot of prep work and everything like that. But it makes a difference. I think it does, and I think it keeps people interested and keeps people coming back. And
it does. It really does. It makes it freshens up every day. Every day is a little different.
Yep.
It's like, sweet. I'm doing deep fried burrata today. Like awesome.
Yeah. And and it gets our minds working too on the line. How are we going to set that up? Who's going to pick that up? So that's the communication starts immediately when we figure out what the special is for that day. So, it's important. Yeah, it's important instead of just being that monotonous, going through the motions, kind of job.
Number two, large.
Yeah, exactly. And that we're just working one station and it'll always being the same thing, right? So, it's kind of cool. It's
super cool.
So,
yeah.
When is each day's special figured out? Is this planned weeks in advance? Is it a couple of days?
Right,
it could be the morning. Like, what are we talking?
I would say probably a week out.
Okay.
I see Paul's notebook. Yeah, he's jotting ideas down, and him and Jess get together.
Yeah,
and
those gears are always turning.
Yeah. And then he's always talking to the prep guys back there about their ideas, and that's why you see Nick and Juan. They got specials all the time because it's just like they're all spinning their wheels back there, and some crazy specials that they come up with. So it's a good thing for everybody. Everybody gets to try something, and if you have an idea, Paul's always open. So
yeah. The not having it on a set schedule is kind of part of the fun too with the specials. It's like, all right.
It used to be kind of stressful, but then now anymore it's just like coming in. It's just like just a conversation I have with Paul. It's like, what's the special today? Right? Let's talk about it. And it's cool. It's cool.
So what is that? I mean, what's that like for you guys? Because when you introduce a special, you also you have to kind of reimagine the line and how things are going to work for that day. And I'm sure some specials are going to hit a lot harder than others. Some is just like, oh, this is, a pretty standard burger. And others, whether you've run it before, you're just like, oh, this is really cool. People are going to come out. And there could be a lot more touches that you have to have on a certain dish, or this dish is going to involve the fryer a lot more than usual. Like, how do you reconfigure the line or reconfigure the processes for the day based off of the special?
Well, luckily, right. So when we go in, we kind of set up just like for the regular day, right? So then once we start talking about the special, then we can start breaking it down. And right, that really does make the difference in knowing where people need to be and, okay, which person's on which station, what their strengths are, what the special is on pickup and everything.
The less changes we can make, the better.
Yeah. And having it be all in one instead of going over stations, right? Passing a burger to somebody and then passing all the way back down the line, right? Right.
I feel like we keep saying this,
Little
but
touches.
it just comes down to communication, just talking like, how do you feel about doing this? Well, maybe we do it this way instead. Oh, okay, that's a great idea.
All the way down like the garnish of the soup. Do you want me to garnish it down there or do you want me to do it down here? See, it doesn't matter as long as it gets done. You know? So,
it's done well.
Yeah, done well, of course. Of course, chef.
Okay. So Jess and Paul, they do a lot of coming up with the specials themselves, but like you mentioned, they take inspiration or maybe even whole ideas from other staff members. I know you guys have had, whether it's a full creation or it's an idea that is, kind of evolved and become a special. You guys have had specials that have been run and made the menu. Do you remember the first special that each of you like?
Oh, I think we've only done a few, right? Because we haven't always got the luxury of, kind of taking the time to formulate our own.
It's pretty
specials.
busy on the line.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to get chirped for this,
Yeah.
but the only one that has been mine was during Burger Week.
The Kosalka burger.
Right. Well, that was mine.
That was
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes.
He had the Guinness burger. And that thing was
the McClellan patty melt.
I think it was dirty.
Was named
Dirty good.
This is going to be cheesy, but named it after my girlfriend.
Oh.
By intense demand. But yeah, it was patty melt with it originally was Guinness, but went with local breakaway stout glazed onions instead, with potato hash and
Delicious
good stuff. Yeah,
delicious.
Yeah,
and then mine was just the pierogi burger. So it's like a deconstructed pierogi or a cabbage roll. I grew up Polish, and my grandma was always making those, and my dad, it's one of his favorite recipes. So it was something I had to come up with a burger special. So figured it'd be something kind of easy and have the cabbage a little different than the lettuce. So yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, it was.
And it's fun, and when we can do those, it's always a good time. But I felt I was a little stressed out a few of those days. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh gosh, I got to work the line, and I want this to be perfect.
Yeah.
So
I hope they like it.
Yeah, I hope it sells and things like that. But not every special is going to be a winner. But at the same time, it's like you gotta stick your neck out there a little bit and try it out. So,
yeah, see what works.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the post from your burger, and like I was reading through the components, and it was a caraway seasoned beef and pork burger patty, seared cabbage, fennel aioli, heritage tomato sauce, Gruyere, and I'm kind of reading through all this, and I'm like, okay, there's some different touches in there, but it sounds pretty standard. And then the last part, cheese pierogi, and I'm like, okay, there's the block 16, there's the wildness.
Yeah.
But like, I just love that, like, that's allowed at block 16. Like, how many places in Omaha could you go to the head chef and be like, I want to put a pierogi, which it for anyone who doesn't, it's a German dumpling, essentially.
Yep.
I want to put that on a burger or a sandwich today. Most chefs would go, the heck are you talking about? That's ridiculous. Yeah. But here it's just like, you know what? Let's give that a shot.
And the funny thing, that was kind of an afterthought. I ain't gonna lie. That's
really?
Yeah, kind of an afterthought. And then we was like, we got to take it to that block 16 level. I was like, put it on. So yeah, and we ended up doing it, and it worked out. So yeah, it's just little tweaks like that you make, and people like it.
Yeah, so. It's fun for us to be able to have that freedom of there's really no restrictions on any idea.
yeah.
Like, it might not come to fruition.
Like some of the things that Paul tells us, it's just like, no way.
like,
That's all going in a burrito.
a waffle cone stuff with mac and cheese.
yeah,
Do it for
yeah.
you.
We always make a joke like, hey, add an egg to it. Add an egg to it, you know? So,
It's fun. It's fun to have that freedom available.
for sure. And then it's also cool to see everybody get to work the specials, you know? So everybody that, you know, might not like something, you know, a lamb kebab or something like that, and then they try it and it's like, wow, I actually do like this, you know? It's changed a lot of people's like palates, I would say, on the line of just trying specials and trying different, you know.
I mean, Tara used to be vegan.
Yeah. Used to be vegan on the line.
No longer.
Yeah, not anymore. Now she's trying the burger specials.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's going after it. But
Yeah, Block 16 has a couple vegetarian or vegan dishes, but I think it'd be pretty hard to maintain that lifestyle working there.
yeah,
There's a lot of temptation.
A lot of good meat.
Yeah, a
coming
lot
out
of good
that.
smells. Yeah,
A lot of
good smells
temptations
happen.
are on there.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's a good
So
thing.
what is it like for you guys, or I'm sure you've talked to other staff members? I mean, and you talked about this a little bit, Wyatt, but like when you have that special and you create it, or it even bears your name and you're seeing it, it's out on the menu, it's out on the sandwich board, it's out on social media. I mean, I have to imagine that just like, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying about Jess and Paul earlier and how they make you feel good as individuals. Like that plays into that they're listening to you and they're being like, oh no, we didn't just take this idea, but we're gonna put it out there and you get to like flesh out what you want to do. What is that feeling like?
I mean, it builds confidence, right? And like that's so important for young cooks, you know, especially if we're in the roles of, you know, also kind of, you know, what would you say, making people malleable, or the malleable people around there. We're molding them into great chefs, you know.
Yeah, teaching, you know,
I think that's something
Building
that
them up. Yeah, it definitely is a confidence boost. It can be a little nerve wracking as well, because you're like, oh man, if this doesn't sell, then
right,
you know.
right.
But
to touch on the point about Paul and Jess's like kind of role in that, absolutely. I think that's something that is crucial to saying, yeah, we have confidence in our staff, right? To be able to not only have this idea, but we're behind it, right? And we're selling it, and you're gonna love it, right? And you know, and they have confidence in that. So it's,
I feel like that's unfortunately rare in the industry as well.
Yeah. Because I mean that's putting their restaurant on the line. You know what I mean? Every day with the specials. So, but again, that's kind of been the theme, the program anymore of just like, it gets a little wacky, it gets a little fun, it gets a little weird, but it's that's kind of it's kind of, but that's Block 16, you know. It's kind of a, I don't know, it's important.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
Yeah,
it's important to have confidence in your staff like that.
So when Paul put out the social media post announcing that you guys had the title of sous chef now, he had a line in there that I thought was really interesting. He said, they, referring to you guys, of course, came to us when we needed them most and are now leading our line operations on a daily basis. The when we needed them most part, that's what I'm interested in. Do you guys have any insight into that? Like, what was it about Block 16 at that time that needed you guys, and how were you able to come in and provide that need?
Wyatt can probably answer this.
Yeah, I would say, so like right when I started, the line was pretty old, I would say. They've been there for a few years, you know, everybody was kind of went through COVID and, you know, kind of burnt out in that sense. And then I just kind of stuck with it, and then people started kind of dropping off and, you know, going to different going to different places and everything. Yeah, just moving on. And it was kind of like, well, what are we going to do now? You know, and like Luke had touched on earlier, the staffing issue is still an issue, you know, without a doubt. So yeah, we went through a few different people, but then really ever since Luke got on, Nick got on, Juan, where everybody's kind of,
it was almost like a full reset as far as the crew.
And which you know, talking to Paul, not a bad thing, not, you know, not what you always want to see, but it obviously is a good thing now. So
if you get some good people, you can get some new life in there.
And you can kind of switch things up, you know, have less people on the line, more people doing prep, better specials, right? And just a tighter crew, more solid crew. Yeah, just
tweaking what was already
yeah,
working
it was
well.
working for him, right? It was working for him, and then just having like our talents kind of be able to shine, and being able to run the line. I mean, yeah, getting that shot is pretty big. Yeah, to for them to have confidence in us to take over those operations is kind of big, and they lean on us. They do. They trust in us, and that's so good, so good. I mean, I don't even think about having another job, like for real. And being in the restaurant, it's so, the turnover's so high. Working in restaurants, that
it's nice to have a little more stability at a restaurant, and if that restaurant is Block 16, that's even better.
Yeah. So it's a good one to be a part of.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, one of my questions I wanted to ask you is, what are you guys' career aspirations? But it sounds like you're not really allowing yourself to think too far into the future. Or maybe you are, and I don't know. I guess I'll let you answer that. What are your career aspirations?
Well, it's hard to say because it's kind of an unpredictable industry. But I think if you do a good job and you surround yourself with good people, good things are going to come. So for the time being, we're just rocking and rolling with the crew that we have, and
down the road,
Chef Paul and Chef Jess at the helm.
Yeah,
I feel good about the future.
Yeah,
but I mean, I've thought about food trucks, or originally when I got into the industry, wanted to have a catering company eventually, but that's down the road for sure.
Yeah, and I like plants and nursery stuff, so I kind of want to meld something like that, like a greenhouse, coffee shop, kind of little sit down, little spot, something like that, just something nice and easy.
Or we just completely pivot and get into DJing.
Yeah. Right.
Oh yeah, cool. Little dual DJ business here.
Get out of here.
Do you guys have a dream special that you'd like to see on the menu someday?
Oh yeah, there's one there. There's a sandwich I make all the time.
Oh, here we go. Let's speak it into existence.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Well, it's, the name on it's not finished yet, but I call it the white trash sando. Okay.
Oh boy, here we go.
It's just griddled rye bread. You take some chicken thighs, you pull the meat off of them, and then you fry the skin. And then you take the skin, pickles, fries, mayonnaise, onions, on a sandwich. Done deal.
So wait, none of the chicken thigh is in there. It's just the skin?
No, and the thigh meat.
Okay,
so
you
both
are in there. Okay.
Yeah. But two thighs, two thighs in a
the only
sandwich.
protein here.
Yeah.
Skin.
Hey,
No, we got the thighs,
I wouldn't
too.
knock that either, though. But
That's a good diet sandwich right there.
It's a gut buster, but man, it's a good one, and all the flavors go together in that. So it's just So you'll probably see that on a special here pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say mine probably be. My uncle gave me a really good recipe for waterfowl jambalaya. So it's like a medley of goose, duck, different kinds of like snow geese, Canadian geese, mallard, pretty much whatever is in the freezer. Because my family are big hunters, so I am not able to hunt as much as I would like to, but I enjoy it as well. But pretty much low and slow waterfowl jambalaya. It's really good. So I would like to get that running at some point.
Banger.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Your sounds good too.
Hey.
We're talking a little bit different ends of the spectrum here. But yeah, I would try either one right now. All right, so I got two more questions for you guys as we get out of here that I like to ask just about everybody on the show, and
Sure.
I'm really interested to get your opinions on these. The first one is this. What is one thing about the restaurant industry that you think diners or just people who come into the restaurant don't understand, but you wish they did understand?
Food takes time to cook. I would say. Not actually, but it's just how demanding it actually is. Because on its face, if you had never worked in the industry before, it seems not as challenging. Like, the old saying is like, oh, what are you going to go do, flip burgers? Like it's kind of equated as a burnout job, but in reality, if you're doing it well, it is so much more demanding than that. And I feel like a lot of people who haven't worked in the industry don't fully realize that. So
Yeah.
just give us a break.
Yeah. I would say I think there's a lot of people that don't realize how many bodies it takes to run a restaurant like that. How many people are actually involved in the operations, from purveyors to dishwashers. How many people are actually like involved in a kitchen setting to make your burger, right? To make your fries, right? To make that special. Right.
Too.
And there's a lot of volatility to that, with they're being so vulnerable with how many components go into that, each day kind of is a different day, right? And that's the cool part about a restaurant, but yeah, it kind of makes you have to have a level head. Otherwise it gets like a roller coaster, and, but yeah, one of the things is I'm just amazed, like how many hands are on at Block 16, like all the time, like actively doing work. So
yeah,
it's everybody on the staff, everybody every day is
everybody
is
works,
working there.
everybody works hard.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a nice change.
And it's
of
all
pace.
for the same kind of goal.
Yeah.
We're here to do a job and do it well, and and then go home.
Yeah.
And do it again.
Sleep.
So yeah.
Well, you guys do it very well. And to get you out of here on a positive note, what is your favorite part about being a part of the restaurant industry?
The relationships, man.
Yeah, the crew,
the people.
Apologize, just like the team. Yeah, that's got to be.
Like the food's great.
Everyone.
Don't get me wrong, but there's so many connections, and it's such a small world. Being at a Block 16 is just such a great spot. You know?
It's the only restaurant I've worked at where everybody truly cares about each other and
And then it's so
Gets
so
involved.
respected out in the community too. Like you said, going out and wearing the gear, people see
can
it.
wear that with pride.
Yeah, and it's cool to see people like actually love it, and be proud to work there. It's a breath of fresh air for me at least.
Yeah,
but
I agree, 100%.
That's something that really makes it worth it.
Yeah,
and then plus we got cool bosses too, so that helps. But yeah,
it's fun working with my buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is normally the spot in the podcast where I remind people, or I'm like, you got to get out to this restaurant. You got to try it. Give it a shot. I don't even need to do that here. Everyone knows everyone knows Block 16 is awesome. Yeah, but this is just a reminder to go see you guys again. And I mean, there's going to be something new every single day. That's the crazy thing, is there's always going to be that daily special. But I love this opportunity to kind of peel back the curtain and get to know you guys better. Like, this is seriously really cool to be able to kind of think through the processes of what working on the line looks like. And, like you said, it's not just flipping burgers. There's a ton of strategy and all kinds of components that go into making every dish. So first of all, thank you so much for the hard work that you guys have put in the last 2 years, and kind of, like you said, kind of transforming and almost creating like a different line at Block 16 and getting a new crew in there and everything. And thank you too for coming on the podcast today and taking some time.
Man.
This was a fascinating conversation.
Yeah, this was awesome. Yeah. I was a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, but
Both
no,
of
this
them
is great. So thank you for having us, and thanks for
if you want us back, we'll be
shout
back.
out.
All right, we'll do it again next week.
All right,
Cool.
Thanks, man.
Omaha, as always, thanks for eating with us.